verified information. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy commented on the deadline for Putin.
2 weeks ago in Washington, it was stated, 2 weeks ago in Washington, it was said that right now the Russians should be ready for real negotiations, for a meeting at the leaders' level. Ukraine is undoubtedly ready for this. But the only thing Russia is doing is investing in further war.
According to the president, so far all the signals from them are exactly about that.
Now, during his visit to China, Putin will once again try to wriggle out of things. That's his #1 sport.
At the SKO summit in China, Putin presented his own version, as he put it, of the Ukrainian crisis. That's what he called the aggressive war he started in Ukraine. The Kremlin dictator once again repeated the nonsense of Russian propaganda and claimed that he supposedly did not attack Ukraine, and that the war began with a coup in the country and the West's attempts to pull Kyiv into NATO. As Union reports, such statements from Putin indicate that there is no point in expecting a constructive dialogue about peace from him. Putin also once again mentioned the so-called root causes of the Ukrainian crisis and said that they must be eliminated for a long-term settlement. Meanwhile, the Kremlin is releasing footage from the SCO summit fields, showing Prime Minister Modi leading the Russian leader by the hand to Xi Jinping. The Russian dictator and the Indian Prime Minister also drove together in a car to a bilateral meeting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced that he held talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where they discussed support for a ceasefire and coordination of positions ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. Zelenskyy informed Modi about recent talks with US President Donald Trump, which were attended by European leaders, and emphasized Ukraine's readiness for a meeting with the Russian leadership. During his meeting with Vladimir Putin at the SCO summit, Indian Prime Minister Modi called on the Russian president to bring the war to an end as soon as possible. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin was received in China with indifference and cold formality. Azerbaijani journalists from the media outlet Buddaz drew attention to this. They produced a segment in which they compared how the president of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev, Turkish leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and the Kremlin ruler Vladimir Putin were received in China. The segment notes that on August 30th, when Ilham Aliyev's plane landed, an honor guard lined up at the airport. The Azerbaijani leader was greeted by China's Minister of Industry and Information Technology and other officials. President of Turkey Recep Tayyip Erdogan was received with no less honor. Journalists believe this demonstrates that the Azerbaijani and Turkish leaders are China's main strategic partners in the region. In contrast, Putin's reception in China was rather modest. As noted in the report, there was neither any particular warmth nor any mention of a dear friend.
The Russian leader's visit appeared to be a mere formality without any real emphasis. While Aliyev and Erdogan were welcomed as respected strategic partners, Putin was received more like a burdensome guest whom they were eager to see off quickly.
It is noteworthy that it was Azerbaijani media that drew attention to the cold reception of the Russian dictator. The conflict between Moscow and Baku began back in December of last year, when Russian air defense shot down a civilian plane belonging to Azerbaijan Airlines, causing the aircraft to crash and resulting in the deaths of 38 people. In June of this year, the conflict escalated sharply after Russian security forces detained and killed Azerbaijani citizens in Yekaterinburg. In addition, Russian propaganda periodically tries to intimidate Baku with threats of an attack on the country. As reported by the Telegram channel Kremlin Snuffbox, propagandist Vladimir Solovyov stated that it is necessary to conduct a special military operation in Azerbaijan. Thus, according to the channel, he is allegedly confirming that the Russian authorities are considering the possibility of conducting such a special operation against Baku. On September 1st, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian dictator Vladimir Putin held talks. The politicians met on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, which is taking place in China. According to Reuters, they discussed, among other things, the issue of Russia's war against Ukraine. According to the publication, Erdogan told Putin that Ankara is working to find a fair and lasting solution to end the war in Ukraine. He said that the negotiations between the Ukrainian and Russian delegations, which took place in Istanbul, are contributing to peace efforts. In addition, Erdogan and Putin discussed bilateral relations, peace efforts regarding the situation between Azerbaijan and Armenia, the Israel-Gaza conflict, as well as developments in Syria. At the same time, the Russian dictator thanked Turkey for its significant contribution to the political and diplomatic efforts to resolve the Ukrainian crisis, as he calls the war unleashed by Russia against Ukraine.
Since May of this year, 3 rounds of direct Russian-Ukrainian negotiations have already taken place in Istanbul, which have made it possible to advance in resolving a number of practical issues in the humanitarian sphere. I am confident that Turkey's special role in these matters will continue to be in demand.
It should be noted that Recep Tayyip Erdogan has repeatedly stated that Turkey supports the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine. In addition, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called on Putin to end the war against Ukraine. According to him, the conflict in Ukraine should be ended as soon as possible. Modi emphasized that Delhi supports peace initiatives and is counting on constructive dialogue between the parties. US President Donald Trump has responded for the first time to rumors about his death. On his social network, the politician wrote that he has never felt better in his life. Earlier on Saturday, August 30th, a video appeared showing Donald Trump with his granddaughter Kai Trump getting into a car on the south lawn of the White House and heading out to play golf. Rumors about Trump's alleged death emerged amid his disappearance from the public eye. Since August 26th, the US president had not made a single public appearance. As noted by the media, according to the politician's schedule, the American leader will not appear in public on September 1st either. Due to Trump's prolonged absence, internet users began to put forward theories about the possible death of the politician. Initially, this was prompted by statements from US Vice President J.D. Vance, who said in an interview with USA Today that he was ready to take on the role of president if something were to happen to Trump. As journalist Michael Naki notes on his YouTube channel, internet users tried to find confirmation of Trump's death in everything.
In the fact that no one has seen Trump in public for several days even though he loves publicity. In the fact that he was recently seen with a spot on his hand just like the Queen of Britain had before her death. In the fact that the AIDS index at the White House is incredibly high.
Michael Naki notes that people living in countries with dictatorial regimes have a common pastime, burying the dictator. And even though the USA is not a dictatorship, Trump's political ambitions are well known to everyone, the journalist says. At the same time, Naki points out that despite Americans' theories about the death of the US president, in his personal opinion, Donald Trump is just fine.
In temporarily occupied Crimea, the main intelligence directorate of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense struck 2 Russian Mi-8 helicopters and a tugboat. This was reported by the GUR. Fighters from the special unit Ghosts used drones to strike the airbase of the Russian occupiers in Hvardiska near Simferopol. It is noted that the estimated cost of the disabled helicopters is between $20 and $30 million. A Russian tugboat was also hit, likely the Buk 2190 in the Bay of Sevastopol. During the air attack against the occupiers on the peninsula, Ukrainian intelligence operatives directed a warhead at the vessel. Additionally, the new Ukrainian cruise missiles Flamingo struck a border post and FSB patrol boats in temporarily occupied Crimea. This was reported by the Militani project, citing sources. The footage captures a triple launch from the Ukrainian coast at dawn. The missiles lifted off one after another with the help of solid fuel boosters and headed toward their target. According to satellite images, the missiles destroyed the main building of the border post and the surrounding area was also damaged by fire. This attack was part of a combined strike on Crimea, during which in particular Mi-8 and Mi-24 helicopters were destroyed at the Simferopol airport. The new Ukrainian Flamingo missile is currently the best subsonic cruise missile in the world in terms of its characteristics. It is superior not only to the Russian Ka-101, Kh-555 caliber and Iskander missiles, but also to the American Tomahawk. It is better in terms of target range and warhead weight. For example, it has a flight range of 3,000 kilometers, a maximum speed of 950 kilometers per hour, a cruising speed of 850 to 900 kilometers per hour, and a warhead weight of 1,000 to 1,150 kilograms. The guidance system is combined, including satellite and jamming-resistant inertial systems.
European leaders will gather in Paris to discuss sending troops to Ukraine. This was reported by the Financial Times. The meeting will take place on Thursday, September 4th. Earlier, the publication reported that Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy might be present at the meeting. The publication notes that the leaders attending the meeting are those who were present at the meeting with Donald Trump on August 18th, when he first met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. So the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen are expected to arrive in the French capital. The publication notes that the Élysée Palace declined to comment. The President of the European Commission stated, last week the heads of defense departments from the coalition of willing countries met and developed fairly precise plans, including discussions of the necessary elements for an effective troop buildup. The publication notes that Ukraine is demanding concrete security guarantees from its Western allies, including troops on the ground, as part of any peace agreement. The forces could include tens of thousands of military personnel under European leadership, who would receive support from the United States, including command and control systems, as well as intelligence and surveillance assets. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz believes that the war in Ukraine will last for a long time yet. He expressed this opinion in an interview with ZDF. According to him, wars end either with the military defeat of one side, which neither Moscow nor Kiev is close to, or with economic or military exhaustion, which is also not currently observed. Current diplomatic efforts are aimed at ending the war, but not at the cost of Ukraine's capitulation, the Chancellor stated. Because if Ukraine loses its independence, another country will be next. And the day after tomorrow it will be our turn. That is not an option, Merz added.